Chapter 761, A Bolt from the Blue. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. They flew rapidly toward the south. At the beginning, they could see two faint figures in front of them, but no matter how fast they flew, they could only watch them disappear from their sight. Suddenly, they had a bad feeling. Are those two unknown strongmen professional robbers? How did they defeat the subsect of Wind-Snow School? The Heaven-Earth formation is not merely a decoration after all. Is it possible that they are powerful enough to suppress the Heaven-Earth formation? No way, it is impossible. They did not understand how the subsect of Wind-Snow School was destroyed and the treasures from the whole mountain were taken away. Fortunately, 10 minutes after their flight, they saw a figure fleeing. A disciple who escaped from Wind-Snow School. Jiang Yanlan's father frowned and stretched out his right hand to pull the man over. Are you from the Wind-Snow School? No, I'm not. You don't admit it, you have the token of the Wind-Snow School with you. Father Jiang showed a hint of killing intent. The frightened man's face turned pale in panic. I'm from the Wind-Snow School. What happened to your sect? I don't know. The two men, the two demons. I don't know how they got in. Dead, all dead. Seeing that the man was almost scared to death, Father Jiang was not in the mood to ask any more and casually cast him aside. Father Jiang became extremely serious. They can break through the Heaven-Earth formation? That's terrible. Let's go back to the sect as soon as possible. All the people he led turned pale with fright, no matter how inconceivable this matter was and whatever the reasons the two men had. The only thing they wanted to do now was to return to their sect. It was fortunate that those two men were not targeting them, otherwise there were not enough powerful cultivators in their sect to defeat the enemies. They flew at full speed in a highly agitated state. Finally, when they saw their sect, everyone relaxed and exhaled a long breath. Fortunately, it's not us. Boom. But the next moment, a strong vibration came from the south not far away. Jiang Yanlan's face changed slightly. It's the 10 Tigers sect. Let's go and have a look. Jiang Yanlan's father pondered for 2 seconds before he decided to go and check out the situation. So they flew south again. The 10 Tigers sect had 10 powerful cultivators comprising of 5 Heaven Realm ones and 5 Earth Realm ones. Their overall strength was in the upper middle level. Among the 5 cultivators at Heaven Realm, there were 2 at the peak stage, 1 at the last stage and the other 2 at the middle stage. They were equally powerful in the mystical martial world. The strongest sect in the mystical martial world was the Beiming sect, but they never claimed that they were the first because of the existence of the Black-White Palace, the most mysterious sect in the world located in the mystical martial world. They did not want to provoke the mystical martial world merely for a stunt, so one could only imagine how powerful the Black-White Palace was. Due to all sorts of factors, the mystical martial world was relatively peaceful, and most of the battles only took place in ancient mine. But now, the subsect of the Wind-Snow School had been destroyed. In their eyes, it was a shocking thing. With the shocked destruction of the 10 Tigers sect, they felt that the matter seemed to be more serious than they had imagined. After flying for half an hour, they finally arrived at the territory of the 10 Tigers sect. The whole sect was in a mess. The Heaven-Earth formation had disappeared and no crystal stones were left. Seeing this scene, the expressions on the faces of the group members changed a little. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, 2 figures flew east from the back mountain of the 10 Tigers sect. Father Jiang and his men looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Huh? Jiang Yanlan suddenly cried out in doubt. That figure looked familiar. Do you know them? Father Jiang was nervous. The man on the left is a bit like the boss, Zhang Han, whom I mentioned before. He is very powerful. They are going too fast for me to see clearly. Jiang Yanlan was hesitant. Who? Father Jiang was stunned and recalled the name after a few seconds. He said with a smile, Zhang Han has not reached Divine Realm. How could he cause such a fantastic thing? Besides, don't say that the others are powerful. You will probably reach the God Realm late stage after your breakthrough this time. When the time comes, Zhang Han and Emperor King could never defeat you. Really? Jiang Yanlan was a little stunned and uncertain. She had been at the Grand Master Peak stage for more than 2 years. However, Master Zhang Han Yang was able to kill Gudong Glai when he was at the same stage as her. Considering all of Zhang Han Yang's achievements, she felt that she would never catch up with him. I don't have to be better than him, as long as I can beat Liu. Jiang Yanlan hummed, not giving it too much thought. Before the group left for their sect, she turned her head and looked at the side. She muttered, "Can it be him? It should not be. Those two are the super strong ones who destroyed the 2 sects. Well, it should not be him. It's my mistake." As it turned out, she was not wrong. At this time, Zhang Han and Zhang Wenyu had just left the mystical martial world. So exciting. Zhang Wenyu exhaled, "There might be an earthquake in the worldlet since so many sects have been destroyed. Are we going to the southwest now to destroy the last few sects there? The Wind Snow School is very cunning this time, and all the sects helping them are not in their Southeast Saint Serene world. Wind Snow School must have promised them great benefits. The cunning Wind Snow School doesn't want to improve the strength of other sects in their own territory. Those who reported the news should be close to the Kungzu world. We'll go to the southwest Witch Hidden World and destroy those sects before them." Zhang Han replied, "Let's go." Zhang Wenyu did not say anything this time. It seemed that he was addicted to this kind of activity that could destroy the enemy's forces while making money at the same time. "It's your own fault. Don't blame me for being ruthless," he murmured in silence. When they moved, they quickly flew toward the southwest. The whole journey was tiring. At least Zhang Wenyu felt a little tired. Fortunately, they saw a plane flying toward the southwest and hitched a free ride in stealth mode. They were able to have a rest at last. After they took 2 pills each, Zhang Wenyu said with a smile, "Son, why do you hide your face every time?" Zhang Wenyu, the young master of the Heavenly Knights sect, was not known to all, but at least all the senior leaders of the other sects could recognize him in the war and call out his name. However, Zhang Han's face was shrouded in light, which made Zhang Wenyu a little confused. For most of the martial artists, it was their pursuit to be outstanding. "I'm not the same." Zhang Han shook his head. "They all know that you attacked them and regard you and the Heavenly Knights sect as enemies. All I want is to accompany Meng Meng to school in Hong Kong, instead of leading a turbulent life. Every debt has its debtor and they will trouble you, not me." Zhang Wenyu was stunned. He felt a little dizzy. After 2 seconds of inaction, he slowly replied, "Are you trying to trap me?" "Ah?" Zhang Han thought for a moment. I'm a little speechless, but it seems to be like this. Do you dare to trap me now?" Zhang Wenyu laughed and scolded, "You have strong wings now, but you'd better behave yourself in my presence. Although you are better than me now, you can't. Well, keep it in mind." Zhang Han was amused. "I see, Dad. It sounds as if I'm being rebellious. My son is excellent, I know." Zhang Wenyu patted Zhang Han on the shoulder with a smile and then he looked toward the front with emotion. At this time, at the entrance of the Kungzu world, there were waves of frightened disciples. In front of the Heavenly Knights sect, the alliance of hundreds of people was still attacking in batches. The mountain protection array was quivering and even the mountains and rivers seemed to be boiling and clattering. There were many people gathered around to watch the fun or to check out the situation of their enemies. Many of them were high-level martial artists in the local sects. They were all shocked by the scene. If it goes on like this, the Heavenly Knights sect will be dead within a month. The 8 sects, headed by the Wind Snow School, are attacking with all their strength. This is too terrible, but the Heaven-Earth formation of the Heavenly Knights sect is so powerful. If it was our sect being attacked, we would be destroyed in one day. These forces are bound together and invincible. They can destroy any sects except for the Black-White Palace. There is no chance for the Heavenly Knights sect to survive. They kept on discussing. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The first wave made up of several figures came running over the woods in a panic. First elder, something's wrong. Our subsect in the Seven Harmony World is destroyed. First elder, the subsect is destroyed? Before they arrived at their destination, one of the deranged disciples shouted at the top of his voice. Originally, hundreds of people on this side were still attacking in a very calm and orderly manner. They did not care about those people, but those disciples' words were like a bolt from the blue, hitting their minds. What did you say? The second elder of Wind Snow School was impetuous. He rushed toward those disciples, staring at them and gritting his teeth. What did you say? Say it again. He had a murderous look on his face. But this was the actual fact. The disciple in front of him was stunned and the middle-aged man next to him cried, Second elder, the subsect in the Seven Harmony World has been destroyed and all of them are dead. All the protectors and disciples are dead except us. They were killed by Zhang Guangyu, the young master of the Heavenly Knights sect and his men. Our sect is destroyed? Buzz, the first elder, whose expression had never changed, suddenly felt dizzy and his face darkened. Say it again. What is it? I didn't hear you. The subsect is destroyed? How is that possible? First elder. He listened to the report again. The faces of the people in Wind Snow School darkened completely. Zhang Guangyu, Zhang Guangyu, Zhang Guangyu. The first elder's anger was unbearable. He turned to look at the Heavenly Knights sect and roared, Attack! Boom! This was bad news for the Wind Snow School. It was very difficult for their subsects in any worldlet to develop and now one of them was destroyed. Besides, the one in the Kungzu world was partially disabled, greatly weakening the Wind Snow School. At this time, the people of 7 sects, such as the Capricemo sect, looked sad. Of course, it was all fake. They were actually taking pleasure in the Wind Snow School's misfortune. The Wind Snow School was so strong that they were very willing to see it suffer a lot. But then, less than 10 minutes later, a few people came again. Seeing them, the leaders of the Capricemo sect were confused. Aren't they our disciples? What are they doing here? Chapter 762, Retreating the Enemies in One Day. Usually, the disciples of the Capricemo sect came over to inform them about irrelevant events. But now, the Wind Snow School's subsect in the Seven Harmony World was destroyed and a few young children had just arrived. Now, seeing another group of disciples coming, everyone could not help imagining what had happened. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Led by their sect chief, the Capricemo sect disciples quickly came to their sect mates. What are you doing here? Seeing the darkened faces of these frightened disciples, all the others in the Capricemo sect, including the sect chief, felt chills running down their spines. After listening to these disciples, they were really sad. Puff. The Capricemo sect leader was choked by the bad news and spat out a big mouthful of blood. Our Capricemo sect is destroyed? They were totally confused. Seeing this, the expression on the face of the Grand Elder of Wind Snow School changed and he said angrily, Second Elder, bring a few people to the Northeast Mystical Martial World and Third Elder to the Southwest Witch Hidden World. Be quick. Their base was destroyed and they could not just sit still. Yes. The 2 elders brought several disciples at the Earth Realm with them to their destination. The first elder was not worried about the safety of their main sect, for there were 2 cultivators at Heaven Realm guarding it. The disciples from the other sects looked at each other. Elder Feng, please go back to the sect and make sure it's safe. Protector, take someone back to our sect as soon as possible. Elder Yang, the other sects could not sit still either. The departure of dozens of cultivators reduced the frequency of attacks. The members of the Capricemo sect were still in a daze. Their sect chief was confused. What should we do? We lost our sect. What else can we do? There are only a dozen disciples left. A general without an army. Can I go back? Can't I go back? What am I going to do? Why am I here? We're finished. He had no idea what he was thinking of. A lot of people standing by were also surprised. Both the Capricemo sect and the subsect of the Wind Snow School in the Seven Harmony World were destroyed. How could it be possible? Is their heaven-earth formation just to display only? It is so messy, there will be trouble soon. They also felt the pain when the Wind-Snow School was destroyed, but it was not impossible for them to accept it. However, only several disciples are left in the Capricemo sect, and I'm afraid they will be removed from the list from now on. Even if they are rebuilt, they will exist only in name. All these discussions did not help to calm the Capricemo sect down. Seeing this, the Grand Elder of Wind-Snow School thought for 2 seconds, flashed to them and said calmly, "It was the Heavenly Knights sect that destroyed your sect. The only way is to defeat the Heavenly Knights sect." At that time, apart from what I have promised, all the resources obtained from the Heavenly Knights sect, except for those owed to us Wind-Snow School, will be shared with you and the other 6 sects. When the Heavenly Knights sect was destroyed, he was willing to give up the treasures he might find, because what he cared about were not the spoils of war, but the continuity. The destruction of the Heavenly Knights sect would help the Wind-Snow School to expand crazily again, and the achievement of supremacy was just around the corner. Now his thoughts were to calm down the army, but the chief of the Capricemo sect was miserable. His sect was gone. But so what? He looked at the Grand Elder of Wind-Snow School in anger. "I want what you promised now and half of the booty after conquering the Heavenly Knights sect." This. The first elder frowned, pondered for 2 seconds, then turned his head to look at the other sects. Seeing that all their chiefs were nodding their heads, he agreed. Sure. A space ring appeared in his hand and was sent to the Capricemo sect leader. After thinking about it, he took out the rewards for the other sects, his face reflecting his pain. The 6 space rings were transformed into 6 rays of light and given to the other leaders respectively. They nodded contentedly when they found out what was inside, using their soul senses. The Capricemo sect leader's anger only subsided for a few seconds. He felt so frustrated and roared in anger, "Kill them." He took the lead to attack the Heavenly Knights sect's heaven-earth formation. Everyone present thought that the matter had been resolved, but it was not. Before long, a group of people came again. Seeing their arrival, the leader of the Limitless sect and the 20 or more people felt depressed. Before being asked, the disciples sobbed, "We finally found you. Our sect was destroyed by Zhang Guangyu and a mysterious strong man. We were the only ones who survived." Boom! A bolt from the blue. Everyone from the Limitless sect, like those from the Capricemo sect, were stunned. Seeing this, the people of the Capricemo sect felt much better. At least it was not only their sect that was destroyed, but at this time, the other 5 sects felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. How did Zhang Guangyu break the heaven-earth formation? How is that possible? Did he get some strong reinforcements? What happened? First Elder, your disciples of the Wind-Snow School did not seem surprised. You must have known something about it. All of a sudden, these sects started to question him. Most importantly, they saw the excitement on Zhan San's face. Just now, he almost laughed out loud and wanted to say, "Ha ha, have you seen it? It is he, who has his own way to break through the heaven-earth formation. Do you still believe that I colluded with an outsider?" But he knew it was time to keep a low profile. Even so, other people who discovered the clues would certainly start questioning him. Hearing this, the first elder suddenly fell silent. Seeing that all the people around him had stopped, the first elder was angry, and it was not easy to vent his anger. After 5 seconds, he replied in a deep voice, "The Wind-Snow School lost 70 divine objects, and we place the blame on someone from the Heavenly Knights sect." Like a stone stirring up 1,000 waves, all the people present were in a frenzy. The number 70 was so horrible. They felt shocked. Some people asked, "How did they do it?" Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. All eyes converged on the elder's face, and he said something that brought fear to their hearts. The Heavenly Knights sect seems to have mastered the method of breaking the heaven-earth formation. Boom. Once again, everyone felt as if they had been hit by a bolt from the blue. Several leaders began to curse, feeling as if they were in a daze. "Why didn't you tell us earlier? They began to regret their blind participation in the operation. The treasures given by the first elder made them feel excited. They thought that it was like a wall falling down and everyone was helping to push it, but they did not know that the other side had the capability to turn the tables. Several leaders who thought they had not been affected, wanted to retreat. This time they came with great fanfare and did not leave many people behind in their sect. If their sect was destroyed like the Capricemo sect and the Limitless sect, it would be too miserable. When they were just thinking about how to say goodbye, clatter, all of a sudden, a group of people came rushing from afar again. There were many people this time. It seemed as if they were divided into 3 groups. The faces of many people present suddenly darkened. First Elder. All of a sudden, a wail rang out. The subsect in the mystical martial world has been destroyed? Master, our 10 Tigers sect was completely destroyed and the ancestral gate has been demolished, with no valuable items remaining. We 7 Ming Abyss were also destroyed? Boom. How many thunderbolts were there? No one could remember. The Grand Elder of Wind Snow School found his body trembling and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He was extremely angry. The 10 Tigers sect and the 7 Ming Abyss were completely dumbfounded. Why? The sect leader of the 10 Tigers sect raised his head and roared, I hate them so much. This. Most of them were stunned. The Capricemo sect and the Limitless sect suddenly felt a little warmer in this extremely cold world. Now we are equal again. Both leaders had the same thought in their minds. The second one. The Grand Elder of Wind Snow School looked pale. He could not bear the pain, so he turned his head and looked at the Heavenly Knights sect. He wanted to give the order to attack, but those people who lived in the sect, the morale of the army was in turmoil. The first elder took a deep breath and a trace of helplessness and alertness flashed in his eyes. So it seems that their next target is the Southwest Witch Hidden World. Even he had the idea to retreat. The 3 sects of the Witch Hidden World could not sit still. One of the leaders took the lead to say, First Elder, I'm sorry to return without any successful attacks on the mountain this time. I don't want to fight now, regardless of your treasures. Next time the First Elder has something in mind, let someone send a message. I will leave first. With these words, he motioned to the disciples with his eyes. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. All of them, numbering more than 20, flew away instantly. First Elder. The other 2 sects also left quickly. They did not dare to delay. In addition to the Wind Snow School, the remaining 4 sects were resolute. Continue to attack. This time we must defeat the Heavenly Knights sect. The first elder's eyelids trembled and he wanted to attack. But all his 3 helpers were gone and how long could he withstand the fight? What if the Heavenly Knights sect sent someone to their main sect led by Dong Chen? For a moment, the first elder was terrified. Let's retreat first. I'll take someone to the Witch Hidden World to kill Zhang Guangyu and then we'll attack his sect again. With that, the first elder led 100 people and evacuated quickly. The remaining 4 sects, numbering more than 100 people, looked at each other and then retreated unwillingly. They were also anxious to see what their sects were like now. Had it really become a ruin? Their evacuation stunned many people around them. The alliance of 8 sects has retreated. It is so easy for the Heavenly Knights sect to defuse this offensive. I'm afraid they are going to be laughed at. Their own sects were destroyed when they were attacking the Heavenly Knights sect. What a joke it is. But, how did the Heavenly Knights sect do it? They could not help but look at the Heavenly Knights sect. How did they do it? Dong Chen, all the elders and protectors were also stunned. They really retreated in one day. It's true. Wang Xia felt that all this was incredible. We have succeeded in protecting our sect. Ha ha ha, they retreated. We do not need to worry about the Heavenly Knights sect anymore. All those protectors laughed with surprise and the pressure in their minds dissipated. Dong Chen, the Grand Elder, was so happy that his eyes twinkled. Good boy, that's great. Chapter 763, Retiring After Winning Merit. Dong Chen knew very well that Zhang Han had made a great contribution. He could break through the heaven-earth formation and let Zhang Wenyu fight inside, but, wait. All of a sudden, he felt that something was wrong. The young master's strength is barely at the Earth Peak stage, but there must be at least a few cultivators at Earth Peak stage or even Heaven Realm stage left in those sects. How could they be all destroyed? There are 4 sects in the Northwest 7 Harmony World and the Northeast Mystical Martial World and 2 subsects of the Wind Snow School. The result seems to be too remarkable. Considering the strength of the young master, he could not have caused such a sensation. What is the reason? Anyway, they retreated and the Heavenly Knights sect has won the war. That's enough. Thinking of this, Dong Chen also laughed. The situation was similar to what Dong Chen had thought. Of course, there were Heaven Realm cultivators guarding his enemies' sects. In the Hong'an sect, Southwest Witch Hidden World, looking at the more than 200 people in front of him led by a Heaven Realm martial artist, Zhang Wenyu swallowed hard. How about passing up this sect? He messaged secretly to Zhang Han. When he heard this, Zhang Han shook his head slightly and said frankly, just one cultivator at the Heaven Early stage. Huh? How arrogant you are. The Heaven Early stage middle-aged man's face darkened. I don't know how you came in, but I know how you are going out. As he spoke, his chi rose wildly. Along with his towering momentum, 2 men behind him at Earth Realm sneered. Zhang Wenyu, our 8 sects are attacking the Heavenly Knights sect. How dare you come and make trouble? It's amazing that you were able to come in quietly, but you brought the wrong person with you. If the Grand Elder of the Heavenly Knights sect came here in person, we would be afraid of him, but you're not qualified. You've chosen the wrong place. You should not have come to Hong'an sect. Instead, you should have gone to the weaker sects and perhaps you can get something valuable there. But now you have only one way to die. I recall that the head of the young master of the Heavenly Knights sect is very valuable. Ha ha ha. Their words made many people laugh. They were not nervous at all. No matter how powerful Zhang Wenyu was, he was just at the Earth Peak stage. Although they could not see the face of the man standing beside Zhang Wenyu, they knew that he was a young man without deterrence. Zhang Wenyu, I heard that you have made rapid progress and killed countless enemies with your wind blade. It will be interesting to see you using this skill with my own eyes today. 10 years ago, I got an opportunity to learn a secret skill called Sky Shaking Leaves in Beebing Relics. I've spent 6 years on cultivation but still could not understand it, but in the 7th year, I suddenly realized the essence of it. Sky Shaking Leaves is used to suppress the whole world. Finally, a few days ago, I mastered Sky Shaking Leaves. The first one killed by this secret skill was a monster at the Heaven Realm middle stage. You will be the second one. The middle-aged man at the Heaven Early stage approached Zhang Wenyu slowly and his chi became more and more abundant, as if surrounded by a towering flame. Boom. Suddenly, the sky seemed to tremble. The waves came down continuously from the sky and the chi increased in strength. Zhang Wenyu looked up and his face changed slightly. Retreat. He held Zhang Han and wanted to retreat. Just by the fluctuation of the attack, Zhang Wenyu could feel the pressure. He could not possibly defend the two of them. You can't escape. The middle-aged man showed a trace of ridicule as he thrust his right hand forward. Plop. Suddenly thousands of needles swept toward him from both sides like a hurricane. Judging by the roaring sound, even a truck near that golden hurricane would be crushed to pieces by this powerful airstream. In the face of this move, Zhang Han called out his cards. 4 symbols formation, Flood Dragon. 4 symbols formation, Roaring Tiger. After the first attack, 30% of the gold needles were broken, while the other one, the soul of King Tiger with 2 wings, turned into a slight shadow and growled violently at the enemies. The sound was deafening and a hurricane erupted in an instant, as it contended with the golden needles. This scene did not attract much attention. Even the 2 Earth Realm cultivators at the rear side looked up at the sky and marveled. It's a terrible soul sense skill. Eldarin is really powerful. That's right, with such a secret skill, Elder and can defeat the cultivator at the middle stage. Oh, no, he has already killed the cultivator at that stage. It's obvious that Elder and will break through to the middle stage soon. Seeming to have heard their words, Elder and squinted and said arrogantly, "You can't escape from shaking leaves. The only chance is to break it directly, but you can't break it at all." Ha ha. Zhang Han could not help laughing at him. This guy seems a little too confident, right? He looked up at the massive green leaves that had formed about 100 meters up in the air, which were constantly shaking the space, filling it with a tremendous amount of pressure. Zhang Han shook his head. There is a trace of soul sense, but it is still too weak. Since you want to fight with your soul sense, I'll show you the real soul sense. Although Zhang Han's tone was very steady, he almost laughed silently. Perhaps the man in front of him could execute 3 or 5 moves with his spiritual force, but his soul sense was far from powerful enough to defeat Zhang Han. For these people, they did not cultivate their soul sense until it reached the divine realm, which was not far away from the divine realm stage. They did not know how to make the most of their soul sense, and their spiritual force was not enough due to the rare inheritance of the soul sense method and their different spiritual force. They started from the low stage and were more adaptable. Zhang Han thought it would cost him some effort, but after seeing the other side's moves, he had a good idea. But his words made Elder An's face darken. "Ignorant boy, what do you know?" He was proud of the secret method, so how could others laugh at it? "I'll kill you." Elder An executed the secret method with all his strength. The leaf increased in size as it approached Zhang Han. Zhang Han, however, closed his eyes in the face of this move. Puff! All of a sudden, a light wind blew through the area, but nobody noticed it. Go! Zhang Wangyu saw that the other party's attack was approaching, and it seemed that he had no time to resist. He planned to take Zhang Han back. Just at this moment, buzz! Zhang Han suddenly opened his eyes, which had gone totally dark. Star map. All of a sudden, the sky and the earth changed color, and everyone around them felt as if they were in the dark, including Zhang Wangyu. Many people were shocked, but the changes that followed made them confused. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The stars seemed to appear out of thin air, and they finally realized that it was not the darkness, but the starry sky. No one, including Eldarin, noticed that his soul was continuously dissipating. The secret star map was once Zhang Han's master trump card. Now he was at the innateness stage and could use this skill easily. He simulated the vast starry sky, making people feel as if they were in the universe. This was the embodiment of his soul sense, which could destroy the soul of his enemies, while switching between the virtual and the real. But it cost too much. Zhang Han laughed bitterly to himself. At the moment when the darkness appeared in the prelude to the star map, the other party's sky-shaking leaves had been shattered. The enemy's life and death depended on Zhang Han. Elder An and the two protectors were struggling. Given some time, they could eventually break free from the illusion. But Zhang Han, who was more experienced, would not give them such a chance. The thunder mark I made with 10,000 rain clouds can only last 10 seconds. Zhang Han was observing his own thunder mark, which he did not understand. He only knew that his soul sense made a quick recovery, had a wide range and was not easily detected. He thought of the T-wood thunder. Zhang Han pondered and communicated with the mark through his soul sense. Boom! All of a sudden, there was a bright thunderbolt in the star map. The T-wood thunder flashed by. Zhang Han's spiritual sense energy was overdrawn in an instant. Hiss! The star map dissipated. Zhang Guanyu shook his head, feeling dizzy. What's this? Soul sense secret method. It's so strong. Standing beside you, I felt like my soul had been torn apart and I have a headache. It seems that you have not fully mastered the secret method. Zhang Han's mouth trembled and he pondered for 2 seconds before he replied, "It's not that I have not mastered it. The amount of my soul sense is not enough. This." Zhang Guanyu shook his head again. "Okay, you are good. Star map, what an amazing method. Can I learn it? Zhang Wenyi's eyes lit up. He envied his son very much, but he should remain calm in front of his son. You can learn it later. Zhang Han replied with a smile. When he regained some of his soul sense, he looked toward the front and his eyes were bright. It's time for us to get the booty. He did not expect that he would thunder to be so powerful. On the ground in front of him, the souls of the group of people, such as Eldarin, were all wiped out and no one was alive. He did not want to keep anyone alive to tell about the incident. Clatter. Zhang Han raised his right hand and his surging spiritual force turned into a fire and burned everything. He took back the dozen space rings in front of him and then they went to the sect area, the treasure tower, the medicine field. They had gained a lot. Zhang Guanyu burst into laughter. What a wonderful day. 10 forces, including 7 sects and 3 subsects of the Wind Snow School, were destroyed by us. Now we can go back home. Let's go. Meng is waiting anxiously for us. Zhang Han smiled and left quickly with his father. Of course, they knew that the other party might send someone back. They flew all the way north and arrived at the exit. They heard 2 faint growls. Ah, Heavenly Knight's sect. Looking at the deserted sect that did not even have a piece of low-grade crystal left, the anger and killing intention of these people could no longer be suppressed. At the same time, all the martial artists who lived in the nearby sects became disillusioned after seeing the situation. When was their sect destroyed? These were just some of the snippets that Zhang Han and Zhang Wenyu heard. In the 7 Harmony World and the mystical martial world, the roars were numerous, one after another. Compared with the others, their sects had turned into ruins. Whose situation was worse? This was an open question. They would have to contact each other in the near future to make comparisons. The dialogue might go like this. I lost my sect. Mine, too. It's all in ruins. That's fine, we all had bad luck. It's time to go to the Heavenly Knight's sect to get our revenge. Do you want to do it? Yes. There was no doubt because they had no one left, which seemed like cutting off all means of retreat. Chapter 764. A son like Zhang Han. At the foot of a mountain by the entrance of the witch-hidden world, 2 figures quickly flew up into the sky and disappeared. The guards nearby shook their heads slightly. What's wrong with the witch-hidden world today? There are so many people coming in and out. They did not know what had happened inside. One could also say that very few people knew about it. Word did not spread as fast in the world lit as compared to outside. As time passes, one could only imagine how shocking this violent news would come to others. Zhang Han was not interested in this. He did not even reveal his name. Son. After ascending into the sky, Zhang Guanyu looked very excited and proud. He laughed out loud and patted Zhang Han on the shoulder. Innateness. No, heaven state, a heaven state strong died in your hands. What does that make you now? God realm peak stage? No, no, the early stage of innateness. You have just had a breakthrough and you're already so powerful. In the future, you will break the rule of those in the heaven peak stage being immortal. By that time, Heavenly Knight's sect will be invincible in the world. Your name will be heard by all and feared by many. Your name will be recorded down in history. Zhang Han's expression froze for a moment before he chuckled and said, that's not necessary, Dad. Having your name remaining in history is enough. He knew his father's character very well. He was a bold man who had a dream of being a martial arts hero or having people coming from all places to listen to his heroic deeds. As for Zhang Han, he did not pursue to build a reputation at all, which was why he did not show his face during the fight. Although he was the one fighting, people only knew of Zhang Wenyu's name. He was famous, that was for sure, but to make everyone fearful of him, he was still lacking a bit. When Zhang Wenyu heard this, he tutted and said, as your dad, can I take credit for your work? It's not like that. I told you before, I'm not interested in these things. I just want to accompany Meng while she's still young and spend some quiet time with her. A few years will fly past just like that. Zhang Han said emotionally, like what you said, when she grows up, she will want to go out with her friends and do many other things. Sigh. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to say. If there's nothing serious, I'll stay in Hong Kong to accompany her. This time around, I haven't seen her for a few days. She's probably crying already. It's normal for a little girl to cry a few times. Zhang Wenyu said dully and then became silent. After a few seconds, he sighed softly and said, Dad supports you. You're right, time flies past too quickly. Images of you as a kid are still vivid in my mind. Back then, I didn't spend much time with you, and it might have a little impact on you. It's my fault. Why did Zhang Han dote on Meng Meng so much and want to accompany her always? From Zhang Wengyu's perspective, it was not only because Meng Meng was clingy, but there was his personal reason too. When Zhang Han was a child, he had wanted him to accompany him more, but he failed to do so. Now that he had become a father, he did not want the same thing to happen to her. To be honest, this made Zhang Wengyu's heart ache a little, and even the joy of victory was diminished a great deal. But Zhang Wengyu frowned. Even if they all knew that I was the one who did it, the Wind Snow School knows about you, and they also found that you were the one who broke the Heaven-Earth formation. In that case, Mount New Moon is not safe anymore. You destroyed 3 subsects in the world lit and left Kungzu World in a half-dead state. Most importantly, they had lost all those divine objects. They can totally do something crazy to you. Mount New Moon will not be unable to block them. Although you have the title of general, the soldiers can't always be stationed around you. I know, look at the things we've gained from fighting. Just the formation stones alone are enough for me to set up the Heaven-Earth formation. Zhang Han chuckled and did not care about his concern at all. Set up the Heaven-Earth formation? Zhang Guangyu was stunned and confused. Yes, a Heaven-Earth formation that surpasses all the sects in the world. Zhang Han did not explain too much. When the time comes, you'll see it. It's still early. You can stay in Heavenly Night sect for a few days to monitor the situation. All right then. While talking, both of them quickly flew towards Kungzu World. Papa. Meng Meng was extremely delighted when she saw Zhang Han. She rushed over and plunged herself into Zhang Han's arms and began crying. Papa, you lied. You said that you would come back soon. It's been a few days. Zhang Han's heart ached as he watched her cry. He quickly patted Meng Meng on the back and said softly, Papa came back late again. Oh, it's my fault. Would you forgive me? He had no choice but to apologize. Xian's eyes were also a little watery. She had missed Zhang Han a lot. However, his embrace was being occupied by his lover from his past life. She had no choice but to wait for Meng Meng to grow tired of him before could she have the chance to experience his warm embrace. When the family 3 of them reunited, of course they had to play on the lawn. After seeing Dai, Little Hai, and Tiny Tot, Zhang Han smiled. Dai had already stabilized the divine realm, and its chi and blood were very strong. Its strength was probably too much stronger. The most surprising thing was that Little Hai was also already at the Grand Master Peak. He was just 1 step away from the Divine Realm too. As for Tiny Tot, his face was oily, but he still could not feel any aura. It was also good news that he had yet to incur any losses. You guys ate quite a lot. Zhang Han smiled and shook his head. He was very clear about their behavior, but he did not say anything. When he saw the hostile gaze of the Command Beast Peak disciples who were walking past, Zhang Han guessed that these guys had probably been exposed. That made sense. Who would not get their shoes wet if they always walked by the river? Grand Elder is the scapegoat. The real culprits are those new spirit beasts. They eat so much. A series of conversation topics grew increasingly intense at the Command Beast Peak. When the Master of the Peak was about to lead his men to crusade against them, the Wind Snow School came to attack them, which forced them to put the matter aside. When Zhang Han was reunited with his family, Zhang Wengyu, Dong Chen, and several other elders were in the lobby of the main hall. This time around, my son and I destroyed the Wind Snow School's mystical martial world, Witch Hidden World, the 3 subsects in 7 Harmony World, wiped out the Caprice Mo sect, 10 Tigers sect. We gained 4,800 medium-grade crystals, 210,000 low-grade crystals, 89 typed of divine objects and 193 holy objects. We killed 1 enemy in heaven early stage, 35 who were in the earth realm, and countless who were in the divine realm and grand masters. The elders were stunned for a moment. What did you say? How many? Dong Chen could not believe what he had just heard. If you count them in detail, it was equivalent to having destroyed 10 sects. How was he able to do it in one day? Although the most powerful ones of their sect were gathered in Heavenly Knight's sect, it would still take some time to completely destroy them. Is this true? First Elder was in a daze. Could this be fake? Zhang Wenyu laughed heartily and waved his right hand, causing countless crystal stones to spread all over the hall. Hiss. Even the somewhat not impressed Third Elder's eyes were glistening at that moment. We're rich. Fifth Elder murmured, there are nearly 5,000 medium-grade crystals and 210,000 low-grade crystals. Oh my god. This is equivalent to what our Heavenly Knight sect can produce over 2 years, and there are so many divine and holy objects. Having such resources, our Heavenly Knight's sect will definitely rise. Wait, how did you do it? Quickly tell me. Sixth Elder asked eagerly. Zhang Wenyu took back the crystal stones and said with a faint smile, let me tell you in detail. My son had a breakthrough which caused a strange thing to happen. As soon as he had made the breakthrough, it shook the heaven and earth, and then Zhang Guanyu enjoyed that moment very much. This was the honor that his son had brought him. He was very happy and proud. Zhang Han was very similar to him in this aspect. When the teachers praised Meng during parent-teacher meetings, Zhang Han also felt very proud. Zhang Guanyu explained the whole journey very slowly. He talked about it for exactly half an hour. After hearing this, everyone, including Dong Chen, looked shocked, and even more shocked. Your son. Dong Chen's eyes lit up. He can kill a heaven early stage just by breaking through? Ha 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 ha. His loud and clear laughter spread throughout the hall. He had not laughed so heartily for many years. At that moment, he could not stop laughing. But as he laughed, his eyes became moist. He is the hope of our Heavenly Knight's sect. With him, we will definitely win. Dong Chen was so excited that he could not contain himself. Great. This is great. I can finally relax. For so many years, Brother Mew has not returned, and I am afraid that Heavenly Knight's sect will die in my care. Now, we finally have hope. Where is Zhang Han? I want to see him. The other elders were also silent, and their faces were full of admiration. This is amazing. Everyone would wish to have a son like Zhang Han. Zhang Guanyu was very happy to hear that. That moment was exclusive to praises. But why did some of those words sound a little not quite right? Third Elder said, Zhang Wenyu, you are not very capable, but your son is extremely powerful. This time, I admire you. Fifth Elder added, that's right. Zhang Wenyu was confused and speechless. What are you guys talking about? Zhang Wenyu's face darkened, but when he saw that Dong Chen was leaving the hall, he quickly said, wait, Uncle Dong, wait. My son said that he likes to live a peaceful life and has to go back to Hong Kong to accompany my granddaughter while she's still schooling. Huh? Nonsense. Dong Chen frowned. After destroying the Wind Snow School, all of them know about him. How dare he return to Hong Kong in such a situation? If any one of their men from any of their sects goes to find him, he won't be able to stop him. Right now, the most important thing for him to do is to cultivate his powers and grow. Uncle Dong, don't get too agitated. Zhang Wenyu said helplessly, my son is going to set up a heaven-earth formation on Mount New Moon, one that surpasses all the sects. He wants to set up a formation? good. First Elder's eyes lit up. I'm going to see it for myself this time. It's not that I want to brag. Your son's formations are probably out of my league already. By observing it, it will be greatly beneficial for my formations. I absolutely agree to this. It's not impossible to try the heaven-earth formation. After pondering for a while, third elder nodded too. Hence, Dongchen finally relaxed. After thinking about it, he did not go to find Zhang Han for the time being. Instead, he stayed behind to discuss some details with Zhang Wangyu. At the same time, in the main hall of Wind Snow School's main sect, southwest of St. Serene World, bang! The Grand Elder of Wind Snow School slammed his right hand heavily, and the ancient jade dragon throne he was sitting on turned into powder. 3 sects in world lit is wiped out. Good, 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 well played, Heavenly Knights sect, come, tell them. Before he could finish his sentence, his expression froze. If they were to attack again, what if they come to create chaos in the main sect? He had no choice but to be mindful about this. But to endure it like this, the Grand Elder was so suppressed he was losing it. Puff. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Eventually, he did not say anything and left directly, leaving behind nearly 100 high-level members of the sect who were at a loss. Chapter 765, Asking for Help. What does Grand Elder mean? Our Wind Snow School has suffered such a great loss. We can't possibly do nothing about it. Other sects have also been defeated. Will they sit back and do nothing? Although the Heavenly Knights sect has won victoriously this time, we are still in danger. If they attack again, we need to have some precautions. We will fight to death and the Heavenly Knights sect must die too. It's not as simple as you think. You want to keep some of our people? How many is enough? We still don't know who that powerful man from the Heavenly Knights sect is. If Dongchen and the others also join in the fight, what if we can't defend ourselves? Are we going to throw away our main sect too? The most important thing right now is to find out how they broke the formation. The Heaven-Earth formation is as thin as paper. We have already lost subsects from 4 worlds, including Kungzu World. We don't have any more subsects, and you still want to bet. Then what should we do? Are we supposed to just live with it? 4 subsects were eliminated. Are we supposed to just sit back and do nothing? If not, you can go and fight the Heavenly Knights sect now. Why don't you go? Aren't you the one arguing here? Damn it. The scene suddenly became chaotic. Everyone had different thoughts, so disputes rose slowly. The second elder of the Wind Snow School felt frustrated after hearing all these. His face turned blue and he shouted angrily, "What are you all arguing about? Get lost and go back to cultivate. Don't appear in front of me. Get lost. All of you get lost." Seeing that the second elder was about to make a move, these people felt frustrated but did not say anything. They left one after another. At Heavenly Knights sect, the night sky fell slowly. The whole sect was having a good time, but Zhang Han and the others still ate at the small yard. There were no mosquitoes at the open-air dining table, and the temperature was just right. It was a beautiful night. Meng was playing with toys with Zif and Jiang Li while Zhang Han chatted with Dongchen and Zhang Wangyu for a while. Dongchen never praised others, but today, he said, "Young master gave birth to a good son. He's really amazing. You are the hope of the Heavenly Knights sect. When your grandfather finds out, he will be so happy that he will dance with joy." The praises were endless. Zhang Han did not think much of it, but Zhang Guangyu was extremely happy. Perhaps seeing that his smile was too exaggerated, Dongchen would occasionally add, "You are much better than your father. He has cultivated for so many years and has only reached the Earth realm. His potential is ordinary." Each time, Zhang Guangyu would be stunned for 1 or 2 seconds, but he did not mind. "You can say whatever you want. I'll just listen and not take it to heart. I'm happy today, so I won't care." After chatting for a while, Rongjiali came over with a tea set. "Have some tea first." Rongjiali smiled gently. "Okay." Meanwhile, Zhang Han thought for a while and said, I almost forgot about this. Mom, you can take off your bamboo hat now. I can take it off. Rongjiali was stunned and could not help laughing. Yes, King Zenz is dead. I don't have to wear this stupid hat anymore. Rongjiali's heart felt lighter immediately. She had been dreading to wear this hat. Plop. She quickly took it off, blinked her eyes, and looked at the men. I'm really fine. Rongjiali was a little excited, and her gaze was overflowing with happiness. Sizzle. Her happiness only lasted for less than 10 seconds before her face suddenly turned pale, and wisps of blood began to swirl around her. Zhang Wengyu's face fell drastically. Quickly put it on. Swoosh. Rongjiali immediately put her bamboo hat back on. She was in a daze and fell silent. Surprises come suddenly, but facts hit you even more suddenly. This. Zhang Wengyu's face darkened. Why is it even more serious now? When she took it off before, it could last her at least 5 to 6 minutes. This time around, Zhang Han could not sit back anymore. He stood up, walked up to Rongjiali, clenched his fists, and said in a deep voice, King Zenz is not dead. Not dead? Zhang Wengyu's brows furrowed intensely. How can that be, unless he must have refined a duplication. I didn't expect him to also use this kind of secret method, but even if he has a duplication, his strength will decline a lot. Zhang Han sighed softly, but it's nothing. Since he's not dead, I'll just kill him again. I'll go to the Saint's serene world tomorrow. Absolutely not. Dong Chen got up in an instant and said with a serious expression, they already know that the Heavenly Knights sect has the ability to break the formation, and perhaps they might also know you, so they will definitely be on guard. If you go there again, it will be too dangerous. Although you can defeat those in the Heaven early stage, there are also several who are at the Heaven peak stage in Wind Snow School. Yes, we have so many martial art resources now. You should cultivate first and wait for your strength to improve further. Rongjiali also said quickly, Mum has worn this for several years now. It doesn't matter if I have to wear it for a while more. It's too risky. You can't go. Zhang Guanyu shook his head. Hearing all these, Zhang Han chuckled but did not say anything. He had seen how happy his mother was and the thrill in her eyes. Wear it for a while more? There was no need for that. Zhang Han had already made up his mind. Looking at his gaze, Zhang Wenyu sighed in his heart. No one knows a man better than his own father. He could feel it, perhaps. It could work. Zhang Wenyu was lost in thought. Meanwhile, in Wind Snow School, the Grand Elder had a cold expression on his face as he stood in a chamber. There was a person sitting in the middle of the room. It was King Zenz. Phew. Suddenly, King Zenz exhaled a long breath, opened both eyes, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. My duplication got the treasure and is now destroyed? How can I just let it go? Zhang Guanyu of Heavenly Knights sect, when I break through the Heaven realm, I will refine your wife first. Your cultivation has fallen to the middle stage. If you want to reach the Heaven realm, it will take some time. Grand Elder said coldly, tell me the specific situation of that place. Okay. King Zenzi stood up quickly. His face was a little pale. He cupped his hands and said as a hint of lingering fear flashed across his eyes. Zhang Guanyu was not the one who attacked. It was a man whose outfit seemed like a young man. His aura makes me feel uncertain, and his skills are very powerful and strong. Grand Elder waved his hand and said, it was a Grand Master who broke the Heaven-Earth formation. His name is Zhang Han Yang. He is from the secular world, and his father is Zhang Wenyu. Elder, you're saying? The one who attacked was Zhang Han Yang? King Zenzi's eyes bulged wide opened. He was a little shocked. I don't think so. That young expert's moves are earth-shattering. How could it possibly be him? Even if he breaks through to the divine realm, his strength will not improve by a lot. I think Zhang Han Yang broke the Heaven-Earth formation and Zhang Guanyu and his helpers broke in together. This is more reasonable. But the young expert? King Zhen's expression changed. "Grand Elder, I suspect that this person is a disciple from the Black-White Palace." His words made the Grand Elder fell silent for 5 seconds. Then, he shook his head slightly and said, "Maybe, maybe not, but they definitely had helpers. Even if they are from the Black-White Palace, it doesn't matter. If Dong Chen was there, it would be much faster. The disciples of the Black-White Palace are not worth worrying about. The most important thing is Zhang Han Yang. If he doesn't die, we won't be at peace." "All right, you haven't recovered from your serious injury. Take a rest first. I'll arrange for someone to deal with Zhang Han Yang." After asking about the situation, Grand Elder gave him an instruction and then turned to leave. King Zhenzi looked at him a few times and sneered. "Wait for me to break through to the innateness." That night was not peaceful for the worldlet. It was due to how the news had spread. The Heavenly Knights sect defeated the alliance of the Wind Snow School and other 7 sects. The 7 sects have been destroyed, all the treasures and medicine fields had been taken away. Other than the main sect in Wind Snow School, all the other subsects in the worldlet are defeated. This is crazy. I heard that this was done by Zhang Guangyu, the young master of Heavenly Knights sect. He's so cruel. They brought this upon themselves. If they had not provoked the Heavenly Knights sect, would their sect be destroyed? Ha ha, the Wind Snow School has also contacted our sect, but the sect leader doesn't pay attention to them at all. This decision is very clear. Most importantly, I can't believe that the Heavenly Knights sect has mastered the method to break the Heaven-Earth formation. I can't imagine who will dare to provoke their Heavenly Knights sect in the future. Even going out will become a threat to them. If the Heavenly Knights sect secretly brings their people to break the Heaven-Earth formation, no one could possibly guard against them. The Heavenly Knights sect has become so terrifying. After today, things are going to change in the worldlet. It is time for the leaders and high-level leaders to think about fighting them in full force. Many discussions were heard among various sects. No one was not shocked when they heard the news. 7 subsects were destroyed completely, even though the high-level leaders were not injured. But what good could the 20 to 30 people do? They were not enough to even put on a show. Even worse, in Wind Snow School, while the subsect in Cultivation World had been constantly targeted these few years, the other 3 subsects in the worldlet had been untouched and even developed a great deal, but now, they were all ruins. The losses were too great. At the same time, it also rang the alarm bell for many sects. The Heaven-Earth formation was no longer invincible. This was a matter of great importance to all sects, even though the various sects were just shocked bystanders in this situation. They were also now on high alert. The ones who suffered the most were the remaining members of the other 7 sects. The Caprice-Mo sect leader stood for 3 whole hours as he looked at the sect that had been turned into ruins. He was in an extremely terrible mood. He roared with all his strength, "Heavenly Knights sect, I'll fight you to death." At that moment, several people quickly flew over from behind. Our 10 Tiger sect has decided to contact Wind Snow School and attack Heavenly Knights sect in full force. Same with Limitless sect. What about you, Caprice-Mo sect leader? Kill. The leader of Caprice-Mo sect roared angrily. Their killing intent could not be stopped at all. However, there were only a total of 80 people among the 7 sects, which was not enough to cause a great scene. They had to rely mainly on the attitude of the Wind Snow School. They had thrown caution to the wind and planned to continue attacking Mount New Moon, but when they contacted the Wind Snow School, this was the answer they got. A few elders are cultivating in isolation, so we'll put this matter aside for now, we'll discuss this a few days later. They were rejected. The Caprice-Mo sect leader was extremely angry. Very well, if you don't fight, we'll fight the battle ourselves. Come, contact 8 Dimension sect, Caprice Butterfly sect. He called out 5 sects all at once. The disciples were shocked. Their sect leader was looking for allies. It was just a matter of time before they could attack Heavenly Knights sect together. But after a while, they came back with this reply. No, No, we're also afraid that our sect will be destroyed. We can't afford to provoke the Heavenly Knights sect. We can't. You can attack them yourself. They received 4 similar rejections in a row. When it came to the 5th message, there was finally a reversal. Reporting to sect leader, Caprice Butterfly sect has agreed. Really? The Caprice Mo sect leader's expression lit up slightly, but what the disciple said next made his face turn pale. Their sect leader said that he would send 3 Earth Realm protectors to help us. Bang! Before he could finish his words, the sect leader sent him flying into the air with a slap. Chapter 766, Breaking All Resistance. We exist in name only. This was the only sentence that lingered in the Caprice Mo sect leader's mind. He had no way to ask for help, because the Wind Snow School dared not act rashly and had adopted a wait-and-see attitude. They had obviously been abandoned, with the thought of giving it a try. They contacted several sects that were close to them, but were refused directly. They too would have refused in this situation. Thinking of this, the Caprice Mo sect leader felt sad. We really should not have to go through this muddy water. Who did this? Who was it? Zhang Wangyu, what kind of helper do you have? I can't reconcile myself to failure. No matter how angry he was, he could not change the fact. The other 6 sects felt the same sadness. As for the Wind Snow School, they could still bear it at least. The person who did it became a mystery in the worldlet. Who was it? According to the grapevine, a disciple of the Black-White Palace was suspected to have come out and helped Zhang Wangyu destroy the other forces. Black-White Palace. Everyone was relieved and shocked when they heard the name. Perhaps only the disciples of the Black-White Palace had such power, but it was so shocking and there had never been such a person before. So the whole night was spent in all kinds of discussions. Fortunately, the Wind Snow School gave Caprice Mo sect an explanation. In the near future, we will launch a general attack on the Heavenly Knights sect. The specific time will be announced later. They were not giving up. In the hearts of the Caprice Mo sect leader and other disciples, the fire of hope was being rekindled. This time, we have no worries. Heavenly Knights sect will be destroyed? Their imagination was wonderful. But this morning, a figure quickly flew out of the house on the hillside of Heavenly Knights sect. When it reached the Huanshan River, there were 2 other figures hovering in the air. You are really going over? Dong Chen narrowed his eyes as he stated this. From his expression, he seemed to be saying, did you not guess it? The 2 of us are here. The 3 of us will be doing something again. Well, I am not saying much about it. Do you feel confident? Zhang Wangyu asked directly. Yes. Seeing Zhang Han nodding, Zhang Wangyu took the lead to fly out of Heavenly Knights sect without any hesitation. With Dong Chen and him taking the lead, they had a smooth journey. Both sides were very familiar with each other after decades of war. They were also very clear about the situation of the main sect of Wind Snow School. The southeast Saint Serene World was located in a forest in the west of Suzhou. Trees up to 100 meters in height were common there and blocked out the sun. However, it had no impact on the martial artists. After flying out of the forest, Dong Chen determined the direction. In the west, we can get to the place in about 2 hours. The main sect of Wind Snow School has a wide area and owns an excellent mountain range. Their heaven-earth formation is also at the top. Now, there should be 21 cultivators at Heaven Realm spread out in the various regions. They already know that you can break through the heaven-earth formation and thus they will not relax their vigilance. We can also leave now if it is too risky. When he came, he was full of fighting spirit. But when he arrived at the Saint Serene World, Dong Chen's heartbeat was a little rapid and he was nervous. Don't worry. Zhang Han smiled gently and looked calm, as if he was not the one who was going to break into the Wind Snow School. Let's go. Zhang Wangyu sighed. If you fail, remember to retreat. I know. Zhang Han replied. The 3 of them quickly flew to the west. Nearly 2 hours later, they saw the mountain range where the main sect of Wind Snow School was located. The mountain area was very large and could not be taken in at a glance. Light smoke was drifting in the air, which seemed to be the chi of the heaven-earth formation. "I'm going, you can wait for me here." With a movement of Zhang Han's right hand, a set of array appeared as a hiding place for him. He went forward to the edge of the Wind Snow School and set another array. Before he came to the main sect of Wind Snow School, Zhang Han was well prepared. Last night, he used a lot of divine objects to refine these disposable arrays. The effect, of course, was obvious. A tiny and inaccessible ripple flickered slightly at the foot of the mountain. Zhang Han had entered the formation. The field of vision inside was slightly different from that of the outside, and the area seemed to be larger than that of the outside. "I don't know if my soul sense can be detected by someone at Heaven Peak stage." Zhang Han pondered. He decided to try it out on someone at Earth Realm. Therefore, he released his soul sense at the foot of the mountain. Generally, except for the secret methods of soul sense, there was no such open and above-board display of his soul sense that could go undetected. However, Zhang Han found that his soul sense thunder mark was more powerful than he imagined. It was totally different to Hafti would thunder and soul sense turning into thunder mark. Zhang Han knew Ti would thunder well, but it was the first time for him to experience a soul sense change, and he was still in the process of exploration. Clatter. Zhang Han extended his spiritual sense. On the hillside of the mountain, there were many divine realm disciples cultivating in seclusion, eating, drinking tea together, competing and so on. There were more than 200 people on this mountain, and there were about 10 mountains in a row. It was roughly estimated that there were more than 20,000 people in the Wind Snow School. He continued to scan upwards and found that there were people at Earth Realm in the main hall. 2 old men were talking together, their faces sad. "The Caprice Mo sect is going crazy. They have contacted us more than a dozen times and are preparing to attack the Heavenly Knights sect in the next few days. They are desperate. Wind Snow School has suffered the greatest loss, but relatively speaking, it is acceptable. This is the benefit of a strong foundation. We have a way out, but they don't. It's useless to be anxious. I heard that the first elder has come up with a solution. If nothing goes wrong, someone has already gone to Hong Kong. When Zhang Han Yang appears, we will kill him and then attack the Heavenly Knights sect. It is likely that Zhang Han Yang will hide in the Heavenly Knights sect. In short, if he doesn't die, we will not take any action. That young man is too demonic. Don't forget, Zhang Guangyu was able to find one strong man whom we suspect is from the Black-White Palace. I don't know what their relationship is. Heavenly Knights sect can be destroyed, but we can't provoke that man from the Black-White Palace. If we kill him, the Black-White Palace will come out completely and no one can stop them. They were chatting and was not aware of Zhang Han's soul sense. In their own sect, their vigilance was not high enough and they were not tense the whole day. Moreover, there were so many Heaven State Strongs and several cultivators at the peak stage in the Wind Snow School, which gave them a sense of security. They firmly believed that their enemies would not dare to turn up. Even if the Heavenly Knights sect moved out collectively, they would not cause much threat. In terms of strength, Wind Snow School was several times stronger than Heavenly Knights sect. However, that kind of situation would not happen. The enemy of Wind Snow School was not only Heavenly Knights sect, but also some other sects. Not here. Zhang Han continued to walk to the side. He planned to look at the periphery first. In this way, Zhang Han inspected the 5 surrounding mountains one after another, but there was no sign of King Zenzi. Zhang Han did not deliberately hide his soul sense, and those at the middle stage of Heaven Realm showed puzzled expressions, indicating that they had sensed Zhang Han. There was no doubt that those at Heaven Peak stage would be able to discover Zhang Han's presence. Therefore, Zhang Han used his secret method to investigate. This time, even the cultivators at Heaven Peak stage did not notice him. But Zhang Han was not very brazen. His soul sense turned into a silken thread and kept expanding. The 6th peak, the 7th peak, finally, in the 10th peak, next to the most extensive main mountain, in the secret room of a palace, he saw the figure of King Zenzi. In the room, there were 10 medium-grade crystals being absorbed quickly by King Zhenzi. In front of him, there were 2 kinds of holy objects to heal the soul sense. He could have used divine objects, but they had lost too much before, and even the best protectors had no divine objects to use. The man in the courtyard at the back mountain should be in the last stage of last stage. I must kill him with one blow. Secret method with soul sense. Zhang Han pondered for a moment and approached the hall slowly. When he came to the door of the secret room, Zhang Han revealed his body and pushed open the door directly. Seal. As soon as he entered the door, King Zhenzi's soul sense came together, while Zhang Han's spell was more straightforward. A large amount of soul sense combined with cards formed a seal array to isolate the fluctuation here. King Zhenzi's face changed greatly and cold sweat flowed down his back. He could not defeat Zhang Han when he was at the peak stage of Heaven Realm, and currently his strength had been greatly weakened. Who are you? Looking at the young man with hidden ripples on his face, King Zhenzi was filled with panic. But he soon began to think about a way to solve it. He had already felt the surrounding lines. The most important thing was to inform the First Elder immediately. The enemy even dared to come to the main sect of Wind Snow School. It was a bit too terrifying that he was able to break through all their blockades. King Zhenzi was not a fool, and even his flustered look was a deliberate display. He was frightened but calm. The only way was to inform the 7th Elder in the back mountain, to stall for time and prepare the meteor fruit. After 30 seconds, I can break the seal. After 3 seconds, the 7th Elder will arrive. No matter who is in front of me, he will surely die. Although King Zhenzi had planned well, he was walking on the edge of life and death and felt increasingly nervous. You said I hurt your parents. I don't know who your parents are. There may be a secret reason that you don't know about. It's said that you are a disciple of the Black-White Palace. If it is, you should not attack me. I, the leader of Wind Snow School, have a good relationship with the former generation of the Black-White Palace. I think you should consider it before taking any actions. As soon as he began to speak, he slowed down when he saw that the other side had heard his words. After finishing his speech, it took 20 seconds. 10 seconds left. In this increasingly tense moment, King Zhenzi felt even more calm and concentrated on the countdown. 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds. In the 6th second, Zhang Han laughed and said, I'm not from the Black-White Palace. Clatter. The waves that covered Zhang Han's face dissipated. Are you? King Zhenzi pretended to be hesitant. He recognized Zhang Han. All those at the senior level of the Wind Snow School knew who Zhang Han was. But King Zhenzi needed time. Zhang Han did not open his mouth, but looked at him with only a trace of interest. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Meteor fruit. King Zhenzi's eyes were bright. The meteor fruit hidden in his sleeve suddenly burst forth and turned into streamers, which seemed to break through the seal of the secret method of soul sense. Suppression. In this regard, Zhang Han's eyes flashed and the T-wood thunder's attribute energy surged forth, suppressing the divine weapon meteor fruit in an instant. This is impossible. King Zhenzi's face turned pale in an instant and his eyes were full of panic. Chapter 767, Chaos in the Wind Snow School. Zhang Han Yang, how did you do it? King Zhenzi's face turned pale and his voice trembled uncontrollably. When you fight head-on, you can destroy more than 200 Grandmasters with one move. At that time, you were at Grandmaster Peak. You fought alone and killed Gudonglai at Divine Realm. There was a great gap between you and you were also at Grandmaster Peak. You fought with Gaik Sinkong and Emperor King at Grandmaster Peak. When you went to the west and killed Talon Prince and other 12 martial artists at Divine Realm, you were at Divine Realm. Not long ago, you went to our subsect in the Cultivation World and absorbed the energy of 69 kinds of divine objects. However, you are still at Grandmaster Peak. After he spoke, his face became even paler and big droplets of cold sweat flowed down his back. He said dryly, Grandmaster Peak, You always show the world that you are at Grandmaster peak, but no matter what enemy you face, fighting alone or fighting in groups, you always have various methods. No, you're not at Grandmaster peak, not divine realm. You have always been a heaven state strong hidden in the secular world. You have deceived the world, cheated everyone. Zhang Han Yang, you are at heaven realm. But why do you pretend to be at Grandmaster peak? How were you able to break the heaven-earth formation? Why? King Zenzi looked very excited and had lost control of his mood. However, Zhang Han sneered, don't think about resistance, it's no use. Plop. For a moment, King Zenzi's face became even more pale and his soul seemed to have been attacked by the unknown. Puff. He spat out a mouthful of blood and a feather fell from his right hand. He had been pretending to be crazy and foolish, pretending to be excited, but furtively using secret methods. How did you see through it? King Zenzi felt confused. He knew that he would die today, because Zhang Han had seen through all his cards. When he heard what he said, Zhang Han replied faintly, you are so young. I'm young, ha 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 ha. King Zenzi laughed bitterly, I'm 75 years old and have been in contact with martial arts for 60 years. Do you think I am young? Even your father is a junior compared to me. Really? Do you want to know who I am? Zhang Han stretched out his right hand to the side and said playfully, it's okay to tell you, I've lived for more than 500 years. Boom. His words made King Zenzi turn pale. The aged man's eyes were full of panic. He could not help going down on his knees and begging for mercy. Immortal, forgive me. Is there an old monster in his body? Oh, my God. Over 500 years, what is the level? This is a monster. Doesn't that mean he is not Zhang Wengyu's son at all? In a flash, King Zenzi felt that there was hope. He did not even dare to lift his head and said in a low voice, please spare my life and I will be your slave forever. The enmity between Fengxu Pavilion and Tanxia Mountain has been handed down from the previous generation and we did not mean to provoke you. I would like to lead the Wind Snow School to submit to you and take you as our master. Whether it was true or not, it was the best way to survive. King Zenzi had no choice but to beg for mercy. Moreover, he felt that Zhang Han Yang, who had endless means, might really have an old monster taking over his being. He believed it. But Zhang Han's answer made his face turn pale. Zhang Han said indifferently, slaves, I don't need, I won't spare your life. Ah, why? King Zenzi raised his head slowly, with resentment in his eyes. Because you know too much. With a wave of Zhang Han's right hand, a small and bright thunderbolt flashed by. It took away the soul of King Zenzi. Hiss. With his soul being taken away, King Zenzi was really dead this time, but his whole body remained intact. Number 1. Zhang Han's face was very calm, his eyes flickered and King Zenzi's body was covered with layers of ripples, giving people the illusion that he was cultivating. After doing all of that, Zhang Han left the room with King Zenzi's space ring in his pocket. King Zenki seemed to be rather poor. He did not have many martial arts resources. Before he came, Zhang Han explored 10 mountain peaks. There were 11 martial artists at Earth Realm in seclusion. They were Zhang Han's targets. The second peak, in the house at the back mountain. Suddenly there was a dull sound. Boom. Then a figure flashed by. The third peak. Who are you? The fourth, the fifth. In this way, the protectors of the Wind Snow School were killed one after another. But the Heaven Realm cultivators of their sect were not aware of it. However, Zhang Han was quite alert. He looked at the direction of the 11th protector at Earth Realm and then at the main mountain. He shook his head slightly and said, you are lucky. Time was running out. He also found that the 3 martial artists at the middle stage of Heaven Realm were searching the area of the sect. He was afraid that they would soon find out that something unusual was happening. They started from the western peak and it would take them more than 10 minutes to get here. Even if Zhang Han continued, he still had enough time. But he felt that the life of an Earthrealm cultivator was far less attractive than the medicine field of Wind Snow School. It was impossible for Zhang Han to go to the treasure house. If it was an empty mountain, it did not matter. But all the treasures were hidden in the main mountain. It was impossible to rob the treasure house, which was no different from seeking death. The medicine field was located in a flat low mountain behind the main mountain, which could also be called Medicine Mountain. There were a lot of spiritual herbs there. However, the guard, a man at heaven early stage, was not very strong and he could not block Zhang Han. Zhang Han explored the foot of the main mountain and other peaks with his soul sense. It was too simple for an experienced man. Whoosh! Zhang Han went quickly to the Medicine Mountain. But as soon as he arrived near the main mountain, an elder flew over his head. He was the third elder of Wind Snow School, who was at the Heaven Peak stage. It's terrible. Zhang Han frowned. In an instant, his body was still, his chi dissipated and he dropped by the side of a huge stone, as if he had integrated into it and became a part of it. Even so, the third elder still turned to look toward his direction. Huh? His chi was circulating, showing he was still vigilant, but he vaguely sensed that there was something hidden there. Whoosh! He flew over quickly, however. Sizzle! A big fat mouse ran by quickly. Bang! The third elder's eyebrows unfurrowed and he lifted his right hand to turn the mouse into dead meat. Then he set out toward the east, as if he was heading to the peak where King Zhenzi was. After he left, Zhang Han took a breath. I don't have much time. Although his spiritual sense energy could be hidden, he could not hide it from the martial artists at the Heaven Peak stage. Zhang Han swiftly arrived at the Medicine Mountain. I can't take them on a large scale or cause too much fluctuation. 5th level spiritual herbs. In 5 minutes, I will take as many as I can. Although he had a plan, there were only more than 35th level spiritual herbs in the whole mountain. It took Zhang Han a few seconds to take one of them and 5 minutes was enough for him. However, the others might be alerted when he did this. But Zhang Han had a lot of experience. He started with the 4th level spiritual herbs at the back of the mountain. Swish, swish, swish. Like an aged farmer, Zhang Han kept collecting the 4th level spiritual herbs. After collecting about 100 types of herbs on the mountainside, he focused on the 5th level herbs on the top of the mountain. 1, 2. Taking most of it, Zhang Han looked up toward the east side. Haven't they found out yet? It seemed that he could take all the spiritual herbs away. Whoosh! Zhang Han quickened his actions, as he kept on collecting. No one had discovered his presence yet. He continued. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Zhang Han's actions changed from that of an old farmer into a harvester. When it came to the 3rd level spirit herbs, he harvested them in batches. The hilltop on this side had become bare. The herbs disappeared quickly. Finally, more than 40 seconds later, arrow sounded from the east. Ah, enemy attack, be on the alert. Whoosh! In a flash, Zhang Han quickly crossed 3 mountain peaks to the edge. At this time, the rear side was in chaos and all the Heaven Realm and Earth Realm cultivators were in the air. A huge amount of soul sense was fast approaching. The sector ray was constantly flashing, emitting terrifying energy. But this was not enough for Zhang Han, who was well prepared. Suppression. When the complex array appeared and continuously integrated with the Heaven-Earth formation, a gap appeared in 3 seconds. But during these 3 seconds, he was discovered by several cultivators at Grandmaster Peak. Where are you trying to escape to? Swish, swish, swish. 3 figures came very quickly. Zhang Han dodged and flashed away from the gap. When the 3 powerful elders came and left the array directly, after scanning with their soul senses, no one seemed to be in the area. Damn it. The first elder was very angry and laughed. Heavenly Knights sect. Boom. He clapped more than 10 times in a row, demolishing the mountains located at the back. Let's go back first. The second elder was a little shocked and said, just now, I thought I saw that our Medicine Mountain is bare. What did you say? The third elder shouted. After they returned quickly to the sect, their faces turned ghastly pale when they saw that only a few of the third-level spiritual herbs and some relatively useless things were left. At this time, the other elders came back with pale faces and had news to report. King Zenzi is dead. Protector Ma, Protector Lu and Protector Pang have been killed. Liu Yan, Protector Dong, they too were killed. 10 Earthrealm protectors died in the chamber. They were still cultivating and the enemy was well prepared. The main sect of the Wind Snow School, is it not safe? The first elder spat out a mouthful of blood and his breath became disordered. The other elders and protectors were even more confused. What happened? How could the Wind Snow School become a sect that was bullied like this? The enemy has gone too far. What should we do? If it goes on like this, we will be too worn out. One of the elders said angrily, we can't be indifferent anymore. What do you think we should do? What do you want to do? Do we abandon the sect? The first elder gritted his teeth and said, enhance the heaven-earth formation and add all the blockade arrays to it. From now on, the Wind Snow School will do a daily investigation, led by disciples at the Heaven Peak stage. No, not only that, but also arrange people to patrol the area within 100 miles of the Wind Snow School. Contact the 7 sects including the Capricemo sect and ask them to come over within a month. We will discuss and fight against the Heavenly Knights sect together. Chapter 768, Leaving Without Hesitation. Fight against the Heavenly Knights sect. There was a tinge of cruelty in the second elder's eyes. This time, we are going to completely destroy the Heavenly Knights sect. After he finished these harsh words, the first elder glanced at him indifferently and asked, who said we were going to destroy the Heavenly Knights sect? Why? The second elder frowned. He was confused. Didn't the first elder say that they were going to attack the Heavenly Knights sect? Even the third elder and a dozen people beside them were confused, thinking that the first elder was joking. Under their puzzled gazes, the first elder said coldly, the Capricemo sect has suffered a great loss and their anger cannot be pacified. They will not refuse the chance to be the vanguard. After saying that, the first elder moved and left. Everyone was enlightened. Perhaps the first elder wanted them to attack and kill Zhang Han Yang and destroy Mount New Moon. As long as Zhang Han Yang died, they would have a chance to quell the crisis of the Heaven-Earth formation. I don't think it was Zhang Han Yang. The second elder laughed grimly. That man is so bold. He killed several protectors of our Wind Snow School and stole the herbs. Does he really think we Wind Snow School can let him come and go freely? Who the hell is the disciple from Black White Palace? No matter who he is, I will kill him myself if he dares to show up next time. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The big shots left one by one, to settle their own affairs. The first elder's order had spread throughout the entire Wind Snow School and many disciples felt as if they were falling into an ice cave. Oh my god, 10 protectors at Earth Realm died in our sect. Is that true? How is that possible? Is the enemy a fiend? It's not just the dead. I heard the herbs were stolen. The loss was so great that the first elder became exceedingly angry and vomited blood. So our sect is not safe. What can we do? The enemy was able to kill the Heaven Realm elders so discreetly. We are just at Divine Realm or Grandmaster stage. Will he kill us at will? I don't want to die. For a time, the whole Wind Snow School was terrified and the most low-level disciples were almost scared to death. They did not even dare to go outdoors or practice alone, so they were now all in groups. No one wanted to leave the sect, because even in it, it was not safe. However, the first elder gave an order to arrange for people to patrol around the Wind Snow School, which was assigned to all the disciples. Each disciple assigned had a sad expression on his face and resentment in his mind. Why was he chosen? Even if everyone took turns to patrol, the will of Wind Snow School's disciples had been shaken. The people in charge of the sect formation started from the periphery and set up various warning arrays in order to cover a large area. They were really afraid that they would suffer tremendously again. How many protectors were there? 10 of them died at one time, and the first elder felt his heart dripping blood. His hatred for Heavenly Knight's sect and Zhang Han went up in a straight line. But what was the use of hating? The first elder was angry all the time. When he thought about it, he had the impulse to kill Zhang Han. However, he had to make long-term plans. The other side was too slippery and the Wind Snow School could not afford another failure. After all this, Zhang Han retreated. His speed was fast, but running away using all his strength would bring it to the attention of the other party, so Zhang Han boldly used the secret disappearance skill. After the Heaven-Earth formation was activated, he returned to the Wind Snow School and left quietly in another direction. It was impossible for the elders to notice him. Zhang Han heard their conversation. He was relieved to leave the Wind Snow School and reach the safety zone. With my strength, it takes me only 8 seconds to fully activate the secret disappearance skill. Fortunately, the disciples of the Wind Snow School are in chaos, otherwise, there will be a risk of being discovered. This time they should stop for a while. I'll go back to Heavenly Knight's sect first. He moved back toward the direction of Zhang Guanyu and Dong Chen in the distance. The two men did not speak and looked nervous. Cough. When they heard the familiar soft cough, their expressions were excited and they looked to the left. 30 meters away, Zhang Han revealed himself and walking slowly toward them. Puff. They sighed with relief. Dong Chen smiled. How was it? Did you kill King Zenzi? Yes. Zhang Han nodded. He is really dead this time. Ha ha ha, good boy, great. Zhang Guanyu laughed and patted Zhang Han on the shoulder. It's great, you're better than your father. Dong Chen also praised him. Zhang Guanyu's mouth quivered, but he was not surprised. There was no harm in comparison. The young master of Heavenly Knight's sect had been living in the sect for many years and at least he had almost destroyed the subsects of Wind Snow School in the Cultivation World. However, a few days after the young lord arrived, he saved the Heavenly Knight's sect and caused severe damage to the Wind Snow School. He even went to their main sect to kill their protectors. Who dared to believe it? Mission completed, let's go. Dong Chen was in a jubilant mood and said. Then the three of them rushed to the nearest exit. I just felt a strong wave in the west. Were you discovered? Zhang Guanyu looked at Zhang Han and asked. Yes. Zhang Han nodded. It's so dangerous. Zhang Guanyu was taken aback and said with lingering fear, you can't take such a risk next time. It's already very risky for you to kill King Zenzi, their protector, under their watch. Not only King Zenzi. Zhang Han shook his head with a smile. He didn't hide anything and said, in addition to King Zenzi, I killed 9 protectors who cultivated in seclusion and took most of their herbs away. Dong Chen, Zhang Guanyu. At this moment, the two of them were stunned. You said you killed 10 protectors and almost emptied their medicine mountain? Dong Chen couldn't believe it. It won't be that easy next time. Zhang Han said casually. They have made a lot of arrangements AMD even the cultivators at Heaven Peak stage are now on patrol. Even if I have many methods, I can't guarantee my absolute safety, but after this time, they will behave themselves for a while. That's enough. You don't have to do it again, it's enough. Zhang Guanyu exhaled mightily and said, I feel like I am in a dream. My heart can't withstand such stimulation. I won't be fine if you do it for the 3rd time. Ha 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 ha. Dong Chen burst out laughing. He was so happy that they had finally turned the corner after being suppressed by the Wind Snow School for decades. However, he did not expect that it would be Zhang Guanyu's son who punished the Wind Snow School. Though he was just at the Grandmaster Peak, he had secretly absorbed nearly 70 kinds of divine objects from the Wind Snow School. With one move, he could kill the Earth Realm cultivators as easily as killing a dog. Even those at the Heaven early stage were killed by him. This boy had a big secret. They flew all the way to Mount New Moon. It was getting dark. After entering the Cultivation World, Dong Chen remembered one thing. The sect competition was supposed to be held a few days ago, but the Wind Snow School was too aggressive, so this matter was delayed. Now the crisis has been solved and the sect competition was going to be held. Many new disciples had broken through to Divine Realm and the high-level disciples would also be competing to obtain some resources as rewards. Dong Chen told Zhang Han the news. When he heard this, Zhang Wenyu smiled and said, "My son, Uncle Dong often said that he would ask his disciples, such as Yun Feiyang, Wang Xiao and Jiang Bing to teach you a lesson. I think you should also take part in the competition this time. Let me see if you are better than Uncle Dong's disciples." While speaking, Zhang Guanyu looked confident. He really wanted to see the scene where his son beat up all the competitors. Hearing this, Dong Chen's face froze. "I also think so. I wanted them to punish your son before, because this boy was too lazy, but there was also a reason for him to be lazy. Now I want your son to teach those boys a lesson and let them know that he is much younger and more powerful than them." "Wow, you changed your tune so quickly." Zhang Wenyu tut-tutted. They both had such a notion, but Zhang Han did not. He shook his head and said, "I don't have time. You can have fun in this kind of sect competition by yourselves." "That's right, stay with your daughter and watch the competition when you have time." Dong Chen nodded without saying anything. It was really boring to let a person who could even kill those at heaven early stage participate in the sect competition. Chen Chengqing is going to take part in the competition as well. He is at the same level as some of the elite disciples. Since Gai Xingkong has been cultivating in seclusion recently, I don't think he will take part. In addition, several members of your security group, including Zhao Feng, Instructor Liu and Xuyong, want to take part in the outer ring competition. Maybe they are competitive. Among the outer ring disciples, there is rarely someone at Divine Realm, while most of them are Grandmasters and some of them are at Grandmaster Peak or last stage. Those gifted ones can be enrolled at the 8 peaks. The battle between them will be interesting. I heard that you have trained them, especially Zhao Feng, all by yourself. Zhang Wenyu smiled at Zhang Han. Zhang Han did not refuse them. He nodded. "It's good for us to take part in it. They don't have much combat experience and now we still have time. We will go back to Hong Kong after staying here for another week. Isn't it too early?" Dong Chen frowned. "The Wind Snow School knows that you are Zhang Han Yang. Maybe they will go to Hong Kong to make trouble for you. They are more than willing to punish you. I do have to prepare." Zhang Han nodded. Now he could not defeat the opponent at Heaven Peak stage. If the other party sent several cultivators at that level, it will be hard for him to protect his family. "How long does it take you to set up the Heaven-Earth formation?" Dong Chen asked. "1 day." After getting the answer, Dong Chen fell silent suddenly. He did not believe it, but this young man couldn't be judged by common sense, which made him suspicious. "What's the level of the Heaven-Earth formation set up in 1 day?" Zhang Han replied. "It's beyond your imagination." Dong Chen fell silent again. Zhang Guanyu could not help laughing. "We'll know when we see it. I believe you're not bragging. We'll set a bet 1 for Uncle Dong in a day." "All right." After a while, Dong Chen said slowly, "When you go back to Hong Kong, I'll go with you to protect you. The Heavenly Knight sect is temporarily safe, but your home is not. The first elder will go and view the new Heaven-Earth formation and help you. The 6th elder wants to see you refine pills and the 3 of us can go there together. Even there is someone from the Wind Snow School trying to cause trouble, we can resist them. They will not dare to fight all out in an urban area." Chapter 769, The Treasure-Seeking Dog. "Even if we don't assemble a large army, we can still send out 8 or 10 of those at the Heaven Peak stage, right?" Zhang Han asked casually. "We're not ruling out that possibility." Dong Chen nodded and then shook his head. "But you are in the urban area. Unless they are crazy enough, they would not bring the fight into the urban area. The battle between those in the Heaven Peak stage will cause a big commotion. If they fight without concerns, they will probably destroy many buildings. It happened before. 2 subsects were engaged in a fight in a small town. The whole town became ruins. The police issued warnings dozens of times, but they were to no avail. In the end, after that big fight, no one survived. No one knew what happened. They did not perish together, so the only possibility is that official forces have been mobilized. Someone once said that the master of the Black-White Palace led a team to the battle, because someone saw that the disciples of the Black-White Palace were talking and laughing in a group of more than 20 people. Rumor has it that the most mysterious sect in the world, the mystical martial world in the northeast, however, no one can locate them at all. The authorities might know, but they would never tell anyone else. So from then on, no other sect dared to do the same, including the Wind Snow School. They would not dare to, so even if they appear in the urban area, we can still escape. Dong Chen said those things at one go in order to tell Zhang Han that it would be safer if they accompanied him. He was also warning Zhang Han that his potential was not low anymore, and he should not cause great chaos in the city, otherwise, it would be difficult to end it. Yes, Zhang Han responded, indicating that he knew what to do. How many times had he heard of the Black-White Palace? It seemed that they had a transcendent status in the martial arts world. Is the Black-White Palace in the Kunlun immortal world? Zhang Han was doubting if only those in the higher level would have the power to suppress the world. I used to doubt it as well. Dong Chen shook his head slightly. However, Kunlun immortal world used to be just a legend. 200 years ago, it was said that there were immortals emerged there and swept everything. Brother Mu and the Wind Snow Schoolmaster seemed to have mixed in by mistake. I think the Kunlun immortal world exists, and it is just difficult to enter. It is even harder for them to come out. If there was a stable tunnel, the people inside would have taken action. So, everyone thinks that the Black-White Palace is not Kunlun immortal world. As for its exact location, it still remains a mystery. Forget it. Let's stop talking about this. Zhang Wenyu took over and said, "We'll stay in the Heavenly Knights sect for a few days. After the battle between the sects is over, we will go to Hong Kong together. You can accompany your daughter, and I have to accompany my granddaughter. She's not close to me anymore. We have to rebond." "Ha ha, indeed, you have to," Zhang Han burst out laughing. The three flew back to Heavenly Knights sect. During this period, the Wind Snow School incident did not spread. The people in the worldlet were still shocked by the fact that the Heaven-Earth formation could be broken, so no one knew about this even more shocking news. After returning to the sect, the three of them walked to Zhang Guangyu's house, which was halfway up the mountain. By the way, control your spirit beasts. They eat too much. Even the command beast peak has discovered them, and now everyone wants to beat them. Don't let your ace cards be your shortfall. Dong Chen glanced at Zhang Han and said, "The command beast peak host has ordered the elite disciples spirit beasts to patrol at the foot of the mountain. Those spirit beasts are all at the divine realm, and some of them are even at the earth realm. Don't blame me for not reminding you when Dai and the others are killed by them." Ahem. The corners of Zhang Han's lips trembled slightly. How much did they eat? About 40. Very well. While they were fighting outside, Dai and the others were eating delicious food. However, the effects were not that bad. Dai was at the divine realm. Little Hai was almost going to reach the peak. Meanwhile, Tiny Tot was still the same. "I'll remind them," Zhang Han replied seriously. "Good." First Elder nodded and left. Zhang Wenyu said emotionally, "You should remind them, otherwise, if they continue to eat, the command beast peak will run out of food. I mean, I will remind them to be careful," Zhang Han added lightly. Zhang Wenyu said, "What?" He was a little confused, but Zhang Han's aura changed and his vibes felt out of the ordinary. He looked at the Heavenly Knights sect and said, "The Heavenly Knights sect used to be a top sect, but life was too comfortable for them. There is a huge beast mountain in the worldlet. Our disciples can go there to train. I heard that the ancient mine is full of dangers. It seems to be more suitable for training. We can assess the dangers before sending them there. They can go to Beast Mountain more often." There are many beast kings in the depth of Beast Mountain, and there are even black warriors in the ancient mine. They have countless disciples in the divine realm stage and many who are in the heaven peak stage. Some are in even more powerful stages too. The ancient mine is like a world and the black warriors are scattered all over the cities. The monsters there are fierce, and there are many forbidden places. The crystal stones in the world lit are all from there. Zhang Wangyu smiled bitterly and said, "The ancient mine is a place where people will die if they are careless. It's too dangerous and it's not suitable for training at all. Only the periphery of the Beast Mountain and the secular ruins are suitable for training. Dangers come with opportunities." A dash of light flashed across Zhang Han's eyes. It seems that the ancient mine is a good place. The overall atmosphere of the Heavenly Knights sect is also not bad. After the battle between the sects, we can arrange for training in Beast Mountain and catch some spirit beasts for Dai and the others to eat. Okay, I'll arrange it then. Zhang Wangyu did not know whether to laugh or cry and nodded in agreement. Here, Dai and the others could catch the beasts by themselves. After they went out, spirit beasts would not be that common. It would be good if they could catch some. Meng is about to start school soon. When we go out, it'll also be a good time for us to prepare you and Xian's wedding, Zhang Guangyu reminded him. At that moment, the two of them had already walked to the edge of the lawn. Meng and her friends were playing in the center. There seemed to be no other places to play besides this place. Hearing Zhang Guangyu's words, Zhang Han smiled gently and looked at Xian with a tender gaze. Yeah, it's time to hold the wedding. As if having felt Zhang Han's gaze, Xian also looked over, and her beautiful big eyes were suddenly filled with joy. Look who's back. Xian said to Meng with a bright smile. Huh, Papa? Meng turned her head and quickly ran over with her short legs. Baby girl. Zhang Han burst into laughter and carried Meng in his arms. After 2 minutes of being all lovey-dovey, he then took Xian's hand and walked a few steps inside. He looked at Rongjiali and said with a smile, Mom, throw this damn hat away. Rongjiali asked, I can do that now? Throw it away, Zhang Wangyu also said determinedly. It was as if that bamboo hat was not a divine weapon at all. Swoosh. Rongjiali took off her bamboo hat and observed her skin. 1 second, 10 seconds, 1 minute. 5 minutes. I'm really fine, I'm fine. Rongjiali was a little surprised. She let down her hair that had been tied up. Her long hair swayed in the wind. Grandma, why did you throw away your hat? Meng asked in confusion. I don't need it anymore. I already wanted to stop wearing that thing for a long time. I won't wear it anymore. Rongjiali was in a very good mood. She took Meng from Zhang Han's arms and kissed her several times. Yes, Grandma is so beautiful. Meng moved her head backward like an ostrich and said with a giggle, Meng is the most beautiful. Rongjiali reached out and pinched Meng's little cheeks. Today, it's Grandma's turn to cook delicious food for you. Okay. After saying a few polite words, Meng twisted her body and said, Papa, carry me. No, Grandma has only held you for a while. Then I don't like Grandma anymore. I want Papa to carry me. Seeing Meng speaking so seriously, Rongjiali retreated. Okay, fine, let your dad hold you. I'll go cook for you all. She put Meng in Zhang Han's arms and could not help rolling her eyes at him. Zhang Han did not know whether to laugh or cry. Why was she being jealous? Wasn't it normal for Meng to like him? Because of Rongjiali's happy mood, Zhang Han was also in a good mood. Brother Han, you made a breakthrough. After playing for a while, Shen Qingqing found an opportunity and came up to him to ask softly. Yes. After getting a definite answer, Shen Qingqing's eyes lit up. I have cultivated my all-8 drought demonic dragon to the 2nd level. Do you want to battle it out tonight? You are not a match for me. Zhang Han did not reject him politely at all. He said directly, it's better for you to wait for the battle between the sects to show off your skills. If you get a good ranking, the reward this time will be 10 times more than before. Alas! Shan Wangzhang sighed and said, once you break through, you start looking down on us. You don't even want to compete. Although it was a joke, Zhang Han still did not know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and answered, no, I have something on tonight. Oh, that's why. Then forget it, we'll have a chance next time. Shan Wangzhang gave a look of understanding. He just wants to be lovey-dovey with sister-in-law. Zhang Han did not explain himself. Maybe he did have that idea, but his main agenda was to cultivate. He took a look at Little Hai. He needed to change his skills and pass the treasure-sniffing nose skill to Little Hai. From now on, he could probably be called the treasure-seeking dog. Chapter 770, The Arrogant Hai Trio. Rongjiali was in a very good mood. She went to make dinner, and Zhang Wangyu followed to help her. Other than both of them, there were only a few others who would be having dinner together, such as Zhang Han and his family, Shan Wangzhang, Zhang Li, Zif, and Rongjiaxin. They could all fit into one big table. Zhao Feng and the others ate in the kitchen of the Heavenly Knights sect. After the meal, they went to the Heaven Lake to cultivate. They did not accumulate points, but the Grand Elder, Dong Chen, gave them some which were enough for them to cultivate in the outer area. After all, they had wanted to participate in the external disciple competition. They felt that they could not defeat the disciples from the 8 peaks. Although Zhao Feng and the others' cultivation speed was fast, they were only nearing the last stage of the Grand Master middle stage. They were ready to cultivate in isolation to reach the last stage. No matter what, they could not embarrass their boss in front of other disciples. The retreat of the Wind Snow School's strong members caused a sensation in the Heavenly Knights sect, but they only knew that Zhang Guangyu had done it. No one, except for several elders, knew about the other man. Furthermore, other than Grand Elder Dong Chen, no one knew much about the situation. The two did not proclaim it widely, but the first elder was very envious of Zhang Han's formation. In regards to alchemy, the sixth elder wanted to suppress Zhang Han to punish him. He had not seen how powerful Zhang Han was with his own eyes, so he could not conquer him just by hearing about it. About an hour later, dinner's ready. Rongjiali came out of the kitchen from the side and placed 2 dishes on the table by the side. Coming, Ziyan smiled and walked over quickly. She went in and out of the kitchen with Rongjiali, holding cutlery and other things. Zhang Han sat in his usual seat with Meng Meng in his arms, and Zhang Guangyu brought a bottle of liquor. Son, have a drink? Okay. Zhang Guangyu poured 2 glasses of white wine. After clinking their glasses, they drank it in one shot. From the look in his eyes, one could tell that this glass was to celebrate the victory. Nothing had to be said. Meng Meng sat next to Zhang Han, blinking her big, sparkling eyes. She looked around her with a lovely demeanor. Soon, plates after plates of delicacies were served. Although the ingredients here were not as good as those in Mount New Moon, they were far better than ordinary ingredients. There was even some low-grade spirit beast meat. Meng Meng was eating deliciously. Well, this was the biggest reason why Zhang Han suggested that the disciples of the Heavenly Knights sect go to the Beast Mountain to train. If Meng Meng liked to eat, she could have all the food she wanted. One could only imagine that not long later, the restaurant on Mount New Moon would provide some spiritual beast meat. While they were eating, the other party was not being idle. Ooh. Let's go, boys. Dai waved his hand and took the lead in walking to the back mountain. His big body swayed to and fro as he walked. Little Hai was the fastest and walked beside Dai. Tiny Tot was humming while walking behind them and his short legs were moving quickly. Oh, what a small burden. Dai murmured a little, picked up the little guy with one hand, and threw him on its shoulder. Te. The little guy even made some sound to express his gratitude. Although he did not understand how elder brother and second brother communicated, he could still feel emotions and simple body language. For example, he felt that starting a fire was a sacred task. They swaggered toward the command beast peak. Hiding? That was not going to happen. They had been exposed a long time ago. However, those disciples had yet to attack them. Although they were initially very angry, after Grand Elder had promised to give them some benefits, even the Command Beast Peak host also turned a blind eye. They were curious about why the Grand Elder valued the 3 spirit beasts so much. Dong Chen did not dare to say anything about King Kong and the Curse Rock. He was afraid that the Command Beast Peak would send people out to kill them. At that moment, at the foot of the Command Beast Peak, at the foot of the mountain, there were 3 to 5 people patrolling here and there. On the west side where news was coming from, several men were chatting. Why haven't the 3 guys come today? I don't know, they should have come an hour ago. Oh, I know, it seems that the young master and his friends have returned. I heard that the 3 guys will only come out to make trouble when the young master and his friends are having their meals. They are very intelligent. That gorilla had already eaten so much here that it had reached the divine realm. That old dog is almost at the Grand Master Peak too, right? That small penguin is ordinary. I have to say that our Grand Elder is too polite. He paid the price for the young lord's spirit beasts. That's right. Today, even our seniors also put down the spirit beasts. The spirit beasts eaten by them had reached the divine realm. One can be exchanged for 10,000 mission points. That's enough to redeem a divine object. At that point, a man in green sighed and said, "It's not easy to raise a spirit beast. Those that our seniors put down were caught during the open time slot. They are not tame and are not worth 10,000 points, but those that were tame, they did not dare to put down. But I just found it strange because usually spirit beasts at the divine realm do not have very high spiritual intelligence, but that 3 seemed to be able to understand human language. That's really amazing." They're here. Suddenly, there was a loud cry of surprise. They all looked towards the direction of the man's finger and saw that Dai and Little Hai were strolling on the opposite side of the stream. Ooh, 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 ooh. Second brother, what should we have today? Ow, ow, let's not eat this tiger in front of us, its meat is not delicious. Ow. Their arrogant attitude made the 2-meter-high cyan tiger on the other side of the stream roar. It was very dissatisfied. Ow. Dai glared with its dark eyes and also let out a cry. Suddenly, it stretched out its right fist violently. Poof! Its middle finger was lifted. Ow! The cyan tiger let out another cry. Its right leg was a bit bent as it was beaten by Dai. It knew that this big guy in front was not easy to deal with, so it glared at him a few more times, and then slowly retreated. Dai curled its lips and ignored the tiger. It then led the way upstream. Because of Dai's loud crying, all the disciples of the Command Beast Peak who were wandering around nearby ran over. Dai was used to seeing so many people coming one after another. During the first time, it even thought that these people wanted to hit him, so it was very vigilant. However, they were only full of hostility but did not actually take action. Thus, he realized that this group of people could only watch but could not hit him. After a while, more than a dozen people had gathered there. Dai saw them pointing at himself, so he growled a few times. Whoa, 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 what are you looking at? However, the other party did not understand what Dai had said. Little Hai was following him as usual. While walking upstream, it suddenly cried out in a low voice. Enemy. Oh, no, it's delicious food. A buff red rhinoceros. Seeing this, everyone around them was silent. It seems that luck is not on their side. They've chosen Senior Lee's red rhino. This divine realm red rhino has extraordinary strength, and its horn can hold as much as 5,000 kilograms. They are no match for him. That vicious dog is really fast, but it broke the red rhino's skin. With the length of its teeth, it won't be able to even break its muscles. Wait, look at that gorilla. Suddenly, there was a loud cry of shock. Everyone looked back at the same time. For the first time, Dai showed its real figure in front of this bunch of disciples. Buzz, buzz, buzz. They felt a strong and arrogant breathing blowing towards them. Dai's body had become buff and strong as he continued to grow taller until he became like a giant. Oh my god, what is that? A gorilla that can transform? It is more than 13 meters tall, isn't it? This is so terrifying. What a great skill. No wonder Grand Elder wants to personally catch the spirit beasts and is giving so many rewards. It turns out that this gorilla has such a great potential and is worth raising. It seems that Senior Li is going to have one more divine object. There were nearly 20 disciples at the scene and they were all in awe. It seemed that the red rhino was no match for the gorilla. Ow! Dai roared violently. The red rhino flung Little Hai away with its horns. Dai grew taller and walked up to the red rhino. It raised its huge fist and plunged its right fist at the red rhino's head. Boom! A low groan was heard before the red rhino fell onto the ground. However, it did not lose its ability to defend itself. Screech! It growled in pain and still tried to fight back. However, the gigantic Dai was not going to give it a chance. It rode on its fallen body and landed a heavy punch. Bang! 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 After a 1 minute long, one-sided battle, the red rhino stopped breathing. Phew! Dai was panting. It grabbed the leg of the red rhino, carried it on its shoulder, and led the trio to the mountain in front. T.E. Tiny Tot was full of admiration. He clapped his hands and made a small sound. Only then did Dai remembered about him. Its body shrunk back to 2 meters, and it picked up the little guy and placed him on its shoulder. It moved its mouth a little and made a faint sound as if it was mumbling something. It was reminding itself to not forget about Tiny Tot next time. After all, he was in charge of starting fires. Little Hai walked beside him and also shook its head a little. After being knocked over by the red rhino, it felt a little dizzy. It also knew that compared with elder brother, it was still so weak. It was as if this was the reason why his elder brother gave him more meat each time. That was how Little Hai thought. Looking at the back view of the powerful Hai trio as they left, the disciples left behind were stunned. Powerful, he's really powerful. It seems that the gorilla is very powerful even in the divine realm. Ah, of course he's powerful, otherwise, how can their lives be so comfortable? No one else can eat spirit beasts every day. Swoosh. As they spoke, a figure came quickly and everyone turned to look at the young man. There was quite a chaos earlier. Did those 3 guys come? The young man asked with a smile. However, he got a uniform response. Congratulations on getting 10,000 points, Senior Li. Senior Li's smile gradually froze. They were not the only ones who were shocked. Even the master in the temple at the peak of the mountain felt the same too. A giant eagle was standing beside him. His gaze was focused on Dai and Tiny Tot on its shoulder. He murmured, "You don't understand?" No wonder. The people on Command Beast Peak were finally starting to understand Grand Elder's intentions. It turned out that those 2 spirit beasts were really extraordinary. Little Hai. Meanwhile, it was Little Hai who made them feel that it was just ordinary. Of course, Dai had eaten a lot of spirit treasures, especially Helen Prince. It had yet to finish absorbing the real blood refined by Zhang Han. Tiny Tot was the ancient cursed rock. If no one said that, no one could tell. In contrast, Little Hai was the only one who was a little weak. But on that night, Little Hai's opportunity came. After coaxing the mother and daughter pair to sleep, Zhang Han quietly left the room. When he walked to the edge of the lawn, he heard Dai's extremely sonorous snoring. Tiny Tot was also lying lazily on its stomach. He was not worried that Dai would flip over and squash him. Little Hai was very sensitive. It wriggled its ears and opened its eyes. When it saw Zhang Han, it ran towards him happily and wagged its big tail. "Let's go. I'll give you something good." Zhang Han smiled and caressed Little Hai's head. With a quick flash, he quickly headed to the mountain top. Little Hai was also very fast in following behind him. The shadow of the man and the dog in the night seemed ethereal and beautiful.